Hi. You may notice this isn't going to be scripted or like long edited and stuff like that. Mainly because I wanted to get this out for Fnaf's 10th anniversary. That's why I'm not putting so much effort into it. But this video is I mean I'm making currently well, I'm in the process of making a much higher quality video. It's gonna be very interesting, but I wanted a special video out for FNAF's 10th because that video is going to take a lot longer than the time I have to get this out on time. So that's why I'm not making a big special video. Anyway, first thing I want to go to before I get into everything, because I have a list here of things I want to say in this video. It's going to be quite a lot of things to do. I want to say thank you for the just brilliant response to my Arkham Asylum video. It's surprised me so much because like it's a completely new form of video for me and new topic of video. Like my channel's videos and the new animation video as well. That animation video got quite a decent amount of views for my channel quite quickly. I'm happy about that too. Thank you so much. And also, like my channel is getting faster and faster at getting much more views quicker. It's an amazing time for my channel recently, so I'm thanking you a lot for that. 63 subscribers blew my mind. And just thanks so much because I couldn't have anticipated this. I made this channel randomly when I just at a random because I wanted to post interesting things, and I'm just happy at how it's gone, so thank you so much for that. And now I have 7 questions I'm going to try and answer. This is another reason why this isn't scripted is because I'm basically brainstorming sort of in this video, and I have a Word doc on the side of my screen here that says things that have currently not been solved in FNAF games. The list. 7 questions. Why does the sun turn into moon? Why was the Mimic boarded up under the Pizzaplex? Is Glitchtrap the Mimic or William Afton? What is with the Nightmare Staff bots? You know, those ones in Security Breach. What did the Crying Child see? Because, you know, Psychic Friends Fredbear says something along the lines of, do you remember what you saw? Why is Glamrock Freddy peaceful? And why and how was Vanessa convinced to join Glitchtrap? These are questions that I don't think have been answered by people like Matt Pat yet. Or, well, right, Game 3, he's not on there anymore, but you know what I mean. And again, I haven't watched all the recent FNAF theories by that channel. I probably should, but I haven't gotten to them yet. So I may not be in the loop about a lot of things, but if I get anything wrong, you can comment, correct me. So, first question, why does sun turn into moon? As in the sun animatronic turn into Moondrop, or whatever his name is. I don't think they ever gave names for those two, whatever. Obviously the daycare attendant in main game Security Breach turns into moon when the lights are off. Most people don't actually know why that happens. Like, I don't feel like people question it enough. Because it's a weird thing. You don't usually see that sort of thing happen. Not at all in the FNAF series at all, like, ever. I don't think we've ever seen an animatronic go a full body transformation like that. Unless, like, Fix turn into Withered. Kind of like the Glamrock animatronics get Withered, but that's a completely different thing. I think this might have been... because Moon is one of those animatronics that looks like, sort of like, it's always aggressive. It's always been aggressive, and it doesn't act like it's been hacked. Because, like, when you're being chased and being hunted by the Glamrock animatronics in that game, they say sort of normal things for their sort of character. Because obviously Roxy's building herself up, calling you trash and stuff like that. Monty's sort of doing the same thing, building himself up and just kind of laughing, being angry. and Chica's just kind of acting nice, like saying, "Oh, your family's looking for you," or something like that. But they're not acting evil. Moondrop is like maniacal, like he's laughing, he's acting like he's a villain. When those other animatronics, they were just acting like they were just looking for a normal kid, like looking for a kid who's been lost. They're not trying to kill a kid like they actually were trying to do. So it's clear that they've been hacked. But Moondrop, he doesn't act. I keep calling him Moondrop. Moon, because that's his old fan name when Scrooge was being teased. Moon doesn't act like that. He doesn't act like he's been hacked. He acts like a bad, like a character. He acts like sort of how you hear in Fnaf AR Springtrap's voice lines. He's a proper villain. He's like evil. But Moondrop acts similar to that. He's like sort of, you know what I mean? He's acting like he's actually trying to kill, which he is. And no other animatronic, I think, does that. So, well, at least in Security Breach. So I'm thinking that Moon was made by Vanny. The sun was edited to turn into Moon shortly before Security Breach was released. What am I talking about? Shortly before Security Breach took place. And because we know she has the power to do these sorts of things and the knowledge to do these sorts of things, because in the Burn Trap ending, which we know isn't canon, but it still shows what Vanny can do, she built Burn Trap out of old parts, so we know she has expertise to a certain extent in technology and things like that, so she could easily do this. She could easily manipulate the coding or whatever's inside to control these animatronics, these robots, who's not an animal, but you know what I mean, to make it so it's violent, to make the Moon side be sort of have a evil AI sort of thing to it. That, and another thing that could have caused this was the Mimic, because after all, the Mimic is an AI that goes around a lot of animatronics in this series, controls them a lot, and it could have been doing that. It could have been, because when the Mimic does a lot in Security Breach, a lot of things that we don't quite know yet, but it's definitely done a lot of things, affected a lot of the storyline. So I'm thinking that could also be it. But again, this is speculation, brainstorming. I'm making this up as I go along. And speaking of the Mimic, question 2, why was the Mimic boarded up under the Pizzaplex? Now this is one that I haven't thought about as much, but I think I do have a couple of ideas. Maybe, like, it was boarded up by Henry, because he knew that him and Afton made it, from what I can remember. So it could have been Henry during the events of FNAF 6, because obviously under the Pizzaplex is the FNAF 6 location, or what that's left of it. So Henry had a lot of impact on that location. After all, he made it. So he could have seen that the Mimic was there, and got rid of him, because... But why would the Mimic be there, though? That's the thing I've been wondering. Why would the Mimic be there? Unless there was a location that was built under... Well, not under, where FNAF 6 location was before. So then it was whatever location, FNAF 6, Security Breach. I'm thinking that could be what it is, because where the Mimic originally was. Maybe that was where the circus was? Possibly. Where the Mimic came from, and those old mascot costumes came from. We know he's very connected to those. So, very well could have been that. I'm not 100% sure. Again, this is brainstorming. I'm not sure 100% what I'm talking about, because I'm not in the loop about a lot of the newer lore, if there is newer lore. Because the last FNAF theory I watched, like, I can't even remember. It was like, I think it was about some of like codes in like Security Breach that people had missed, and a couple of things in Ruin on game theory. just before Matt Pat retired. Alright, number 3 is Glitchtrap the Mimic or William Afton. I'm not really sure, because he has the mannerisms and sort of the way he acts is Afton-esque. It's made up a word, but you know what I mean. And he's got the costume. It feels like something William Afton would do. Because before the Mimic, as a character, was created and realised, people thought it was William Afton. His soul had somehow gotten onto where Security Breach, Help Wanted code as it was being created, and had latched onto made itself a model in the game's code so it could move around and interact with the beta testers, I believe. But now we know about the Mimic, it's highly likely, since that's probably the most technologically inclined character, the one that has the most ability to be inside of things like that, be controlling things like that. It's more likely that it's the Mimic, considering all that it actually does. Because, like I said, the Mimic does a lot in Security Breach, controls a lot of animatronics around that. Like I said, he could have controlled Moon. So, what I was thinking is, it could be Glitchtrap, the Mimic. The Glitchtrap could be the Mimic, but the Mimic could be trying to make people think that he was William Afton for some reason. I'm not sure why, but I think he would be acting like William Afton. Because, not only was that one of his creators, or what I theorise the Mimic was created by William Afton or Henry. For what purpose, I'm not sure yet, but I think that maybe he was mimicking one of the people who created him, and he must have known that William was a murderer, otherwise he wouldn't have been doing the things that he was doing. Because I feel like Fazbear Company would have covered up a lot of the things to do with Spring, Bonnie and those suits, because they hold a dark past within their company. Obviously, they can't cover up the 5 missing children, because that would have been reported in newspapers. Everyone would have known about that. But if they wouldn't want people thinking that one of their characters, i.e. Spring Bonnie, was a big danger. Otherwise, that would just be bad press, and we know that the Fazbear Company doesn't like that sort of thing. It's a very corrupt company, very bad company. And the only way the Mimic would have known about any of this would have been if it had been there, if it had seen those old suits. Because remember, Glitchtrap is a sort of a stitched together suit, not a spring lock suit. So that's why it looks the way it looks. It looks like it's sort of very reminiscent of the suits we see in Ruin that the Mimic uses. Therefore, I feel like it must have been the Mimic. There are ways it could have been William Afton. It makes a lot more sense if it's William Afton. But the way the lore is going, it's more unlikely the Mimic. Oh, and before I move to the next part, I want to clear a couple of things up. I don't personally like the Mimic as a character, alright? But he exists, so we have to deal with his existence, unfortunately. Alright? He's going to be a big part of the games. I don't like it, but we have to. So I want to clear that up, because of some experiences. Next, number 4, the Nightmare Staff Bots, as I like to call it. I don't know if they're actually called that, but in the basement, oh, not basement, in the, I can't remember what they're called, in the underground part of the Pizzaplex, that we see these, sort of creepy staff bots. They're all broken, and probably, if you played Security Breach, you'll know what they are. And I have something weird I'd noticed about them, practically immediately as I saw them. That they have the tears and the little smile, and their face exactly looks like Nightmarion. And the weird thing is, you think, right, oh, they're just referencing a somewhat important old FNAF character. But the odd thing is that apparently Nightmarion was supposed to be non-canonical. But why would they be referencing a character that has no way on the FNAF lore? So I'm thinking that maybe it has been changed to be a canonical character. Like, it literally just replaced Nightmare in the Halloween update, I think. So why would it be so important to be the one thing that these characters would represent, these one thing that these dangerous characters would represent, unless it was important? It's sort of like the situation I had with FNAF World, when I made my first theory. That game was thought to have been completely uncanonical. Well, I think that's what Scott said. And it's like, well, parts of FNAF World were thought to be uncanonical. But it's shown now to be somewhat important. Like, because Help Wanted is a similar game to FNAF World. We've established this. So it's sort of like that situation where a character or anything in the FNAF series is changed from its position back when it was first made to now where it's important. Although Scott did say he only retconned one thing, so that sort of twists the sands in his theory. Although it could have well been that. There's a lot of contention over that, what he actually retconned, because there's a lot of things he could have retconned. And notice something that sells this theory for me personally, sells the Nightmarion theory for me, that on their chest it says, "in your dreams," which is such an obvious reference to FNAF 4, it's not even funny. There's no other thing in this theory, in this series, has anything to do with sleeping or dreams, so it has to be the Nightmare animatronics. There's nothing else it could be referencing. And in your dreams, as if it was, it's so obvious that they're referencing the Nightmare animatronics. But another thing I want to know is that it says in your dreams, as if they're talking to the player. The player, Gregory. And who do people think Gregory is? Well, some people think Gregory is Crying Child. It makes too much sense. Like, this one I'm actually really confident in. It makes too much sense, even if they're not referencing, even if they're not anything to do with Nightmarion. They're so obviously referencing something to do with FNAF 4. And it kind of also, and it's another bit of evidence for the Gregory robot theory, or Crying Child and Gregory theory, that they're showing that this has something to do with all those events that took place back in Fredbear's years before the security breach took place. Because keep in mind, FNAF 4, well, and the Crying Child's like dreams and stuff about these creepy animatronics and Nightmarion were all the way back 1983. So, like, think about this. FNAF 3, I believe, is 2033, so that's so many years after. And now Security Breach is a really long time after FNAF 3. So how it's still here shows that there's a character still alive here that knows about what happened with those animatronics, and I believe it could very well be the Mimic, because that's the only character that I know has been that long that isn't William Afton. Because this kind of connects with question 3. If William Afton is glitch trap, then he could have had Vanity change it to that. Or if it's Mimic who's the glitch trap, then he must have known a lot about what the Crying Child was dreaming, what Michael afterwards was being forced to see by his father, because obviously FNAF 4 is illusion disc hallucinations, I think, that William Afton made Michael see. I think. Again, I'm not up to speed. Now, number 5. This is a very interesting one. What did the Crying Child see? Now, if you remember, like I said, if you remember, obviously, Fredbear said something along the lines of like, "Do you remember what you saw?" As I think I've already said. I'm forgetting, and I'm not 100% sure what that means. Obviously, it means that Crying Child saw something, but what did he see? Now, first thing I want to say here is that I personally think that he saw one or two things. Either he saw a spring lock failure, because back then the spring lock's being used, and I don't think William's spring lock failure was the first, because I think it would have been known information. Or he saw the Mimic, because I think back then the Mimic robot was being used by William to test like things, because to experiment on things, to experiment with things. Because I think William made the Mimic before he started his murdering spree. And I think this is, like, again, brainstorming, might have been used to test spring locks and other animatronics, because it's sort of an endoskeleton itself. So, and I've even heard some people call the Mimic the endoskeleton. So, I'm thinking now that maybe he saw the Mimic, which is quite a scary creature, especially for a child that, like, sort of sensitive to scary things. Either, I think the more likely one is the spring locking, but the Mimic would make a little bit more sense, because that's how he was scared of things like the endoskeletons in the parts in the service room, because he was scared of those as well, I think. So I don't know. I'm not sure, because I think it's more likely that he saw a spring lock failure than the Mimic. But again, the Mimic is very important in this time, in this area, because he affected a lot of things. And again, like I said on number 4, if the Mimic was controlling the Nightmare Staff bots, he must have known about the goings-on in 1983. And now, question 6, why is Glamrock Freddy peaceful? Now, this is one that I think is pretty easy to explain, and I'm pretty sure MacPat's already explained it. He has the soul of Michael Afton in him, and that's why he works with Gregory, that's why he's with Gregory, and that's also why he's not obviously trying to hurt him, although at times he does try and hurt Gregory, like when you're trying to fix him parts of the service, and I think if you let him run out of charge. So that's what I find weird, because again, weird thing is, obviously Michael Afton's kind-hearted person, he'd help Gregory, but it's like he knows that Gregory is the crying child, or people think that Gregory's the crying child. It's like he knows that, because he's like talking in that one thing. He says, "You're broken." That's exactly what the unnamed person at the end of Fnaf 4, unknown person at the end of Fnaf 4 said to the crying child, that you're broken, you put you back together. And I'm thinking here that Michael Afton obviously must have known that it was his brother. Not only does Gregory just straight up look like his brother, like striped shirt and all, and it's like, another thing about Grandma Freddy I noticed was, right, he doesn't seem to have the Mimic AI in him, because I think that all of the Security Breach robots have the Mimic AI in them. It's kind of being used by the Fazbear company to control their things, because it's not the only part of, like, that's how some of the recent animatronics in the Steel Wall games have been acting not like they've been possessed by animatronics. They're not acting like that. Like, for example, a big example of this is Fnaf AR. If I don't think that there's that many children that have been killed enough to possess all of the animatronics that were being sent out to people. So I'm thinking the Mimic AI was in those, and obviously decided it was going to kill people. I still don't know why the Mimic AI tries to kill people, and why it's so bad, because there's no reason. Maybe it's just a sort of issue where humans have delved too deep in AI, and they've made an AI that's too smart. That's sort of a stereotypical thing. But that's an issue for another day. I do think that Grandma Freddy either didn't have the AI and he was one of the first models, or Michael Afton fights against the AI, and when he kills Gregory sometimes, when you fail to do with him in this game, that's when the AI takes over and does what any other of the animatronics do. Okay, if Gregory was riding with Monty, would have just killed him instantly. So, final question. 7. Why and how was Vanessa convinced to join Glitchtrap? Now, I think it's sort of like a thing. Like, if you remember the story of Jeremy in that game, in Help Wanted, it's like it's sort of hypnotizing people, mind controlling them, and through the VR headset. How it does that, I don't know, because again, it really depends on the answer to question 3. If it's the Mimic, or is it William Afton? Because either way, I don't know if they'll know how to do that. Maybe the Mimic, because that's, again, a very technologically inclined character. After all, it itself is an AI. And I think that might be something to do with the way that the VR headsets are designed, or the game are designed. It's able to communicate subliminal messages through that. Again, this is brainstorming. It sounds stupid, but it's brainstorming. And how it does that, I don't know. But I think that's sort of what it is. It's sort of like mind control. And like how it does that, because like no one in their right mind, knowing about the 5 missing children of Fazbear's, would join anyone who asked them to do that same thing again. No one in their right mind. And as far as we know, before everything that happened, most of people like Jeremy and Vanessa were in their right mind. So there's no real reason that she would have actually done any of the things that she had done, unless she had been manipulated too. After all, I think I remember there was something online about Vanny's character when she was first being teased in Help Wanted about a reluctant follower. So she is following him because she has to. She can't stop herself from doing that. But she's reluctant. She's fighting back. Again, most of these questions depend on the answer to number 3. Was it the Mimic or was it Afton? I personally believe it's more than likely to be Mimic, because Afton's gone, Cassidy's got him in hell, burning him for eternity. There's no way he would have escaped. There is no way he would have escaped. There's just no possibility. There's no escape. They say over and over again in the Ultimate Customer Bay, they won't let him leave. And William Afton's powerful, but he's not powerful enough necessarily to leave a place like that, because it's basically hell. It is hell. So there's no way that he would have just left, unless he sort of like split his soul in 2, which I don't personally think is possible in the Fnaf series in the way from what we've seen. But I haven't read all the Fazbear Frights books, so it's pretty ridiculous that could happen in that, but I don't know. But I think that would have been more than likely the Mimic, because that's the only animatronic or character in general that could have ever done that. And I've been saying a lot in my videos that, in my theory videos, especially number 2, that Glitchtrap is the Mimic AI. But since then, I've been pondering that whether it could have been William Afton, because it acts so much like it. But again, Vanessa was probably convinced using some sort of mind controlled, some sort of subliminal messaging manipulation. Because like we know from the therapy tapes that Vanessa has a terrible past. Like she has a terrible backstory to her, but it still doesn't make sense why she just randomly become a rabbit-themed murderer. Like, no one can just go from regular person with a bit of trauma to rabbit murderer. Like, William had a huge action, a huge act, a huge bit of tragedy in his life for him to become that, and he basically became it immediately. Vanessa was like a child when all her bad stuff happened, and she didn't become that. So there must have been some push over in her brain, obviously by a glitch trap. So it makes no sense for Vanessa to have just gone like that without some actual pushing. Again, most of this is brainstorming. Practically all of this is brainstorming. This is not all my opinions, this is thinking. Alright? That was a long video. Bye. God, I'm out of breath.